beating, and I said, damn, this motherfucker's still beating. I went upstairs to grab a kitchen knife. I went back downstairs, took off his pants. I sucked his cut his head off at the same time, because the only SC that I would ever be doing would be sucking. Then I chopped his off and conceal the crime. I used a nearby shower drain to pour out the blood and put in bags and boxes around the basement to store the body parts in.
This is Stephen Coleman, known to his music fans as Slim Dodon, a man who would be found scattered across multiple dumpsters and a landfill in pieces so small that his mother would never be able to bury him whole.
5 years in August. I don't miss a day, a month, go and bring flowers. I had to bury what they found.
But here's what makes this case even more surprising. Stephen saw it coming. He warned multiple friends that if anything ever happened to him, if he disappeared or turned up dead, they should investigate his girlfriend. He knew, and yet no one could stop what was about to unfold. Stephen Coleman was not supposed to end up in Texas. Born on October 13, 1984 in New Orleans, he was forced to relocate after Hurricane Katrina devastated his hometown, leaving him, like thousands of others, searching for stability in a new state.
Yep, that guy in town, look, y'all know what it's here for. If you're around the bay, you know the here for, man.
You know what I'm here for.
You did? My nigga cooking out, what the you doing? We still growing live, rice? Yeah.
He found work with ExxonMobil, a job that required travel but paid well enough to support his young daughter, Anaya, who he called his everything.
I am 6 and I love funny jokes. Funny.
Now you're 6. What is your daddy's name?
Slim.
And what else? What's his real name?
Real name's Coleman.
Yeah, what's the first name?
First name is Slim.
His mother, Corla, and brother Chris remained close despite the distance, with Stephen maintaining daily phone calls home, always ending with, "I love you." Friends described him as someone original and unique, a man passionate about music who had written over 300 songs and performed them entirely from memory. Under the stage name Slim Dodon, Stephen released tracks including a 2011 video titled "Where Did the Music Go?", showcasing his distinctive style to a growing YouTube following.
I know you're tired of the lies and disguises. They ain't riders, them niggas just ride. Yeah, see me, I make live hits. Yeah, that word to the wise. Yeah, I work to provide Miss Anaya with whatever she desire. My firstborn, know your daddy going lurk for it and bring it home. Soul music keep me hanging on. I'm about to lose grip with these clowns false preaching on the pulpit. Take a seat round. Real know it's on. So y'all call that fake shit. Real know you're wrong. I'm appealing your songs, nigga, with a jury full of that done it. If not, don't run it, man.
He had no criminal record, worked hard, and by all accounts was exactly the kind of man any parent would be proud to call their son. He rented a one-bedroom apartment at Briarwood Village in Baytown, a modest complex that would later become the scene of unspeakable horror. And that's where Sierra Sutton entered his life. Sierra Alexis Sutton worked at a veterinary clinic and had a 10-year-old daughter named Trinity. She had no prior criminal record, nothing that would suggest the capacity for what was coming. She told Stephen she was having family problems, that she had nowhere else to go, and he made a decision that would cost him his life. He let her move into his apartment just a few months before August 2017. It seemed like a compassionate gesture, helping someone in need, but that was until Stephen's friends started noticing something off about the dynamic between them. Their relationship grew into what one friend, Elisa De Los Santos, would later describe as a love-hate relationship. Stephen confided in multiple friends about his fears and repeatedly warned that if anything ever happened to him, if he disappeared or turned up dead, police needed to investigate Sierra Sutton. He said it multiple times to different people. De Los Santos recalled that Stephen wanted to leave the relationship, but Sutton seemed unwilling to let him go. Another friend, Dominique Clark, would later describe Sutton as having the mind of a bad spirit, a characterization that would prove horrifyingly accurate. Think about that for a moment. Stephen Coleman knew something was wrong. He felt it deeply enough to warn multiple people that his girlfriend might harm him, Yet there were no police reports, documented incidents of domestic violence, or anything official that could have protected him. His mother, Corla, would later say, "My boys never grew up in a rough neighborhood. I worked hard to take care of my sons." So if Stephen wasn't the problem, abusive or troubled, what was happening behind closed doors in that Baytown apartment? The answer would come in the most brutal way imaginable on August 16, 2017. That evening, after Stephen returned home from work at ExxonMobil, an argument erupted between him and Sierra. After the argument, Stephen went to bed, exhausted from his day, and that's when Sierra Sutton made her move. While Stephen slept, Sierra retrieved a handgun and shot him once in the head at point-blank range. Her 10-year-old daughter, Trinity, was in the living room at the time, in an adjacent room of the small apartment, close enough to potentially hear everything. Blood spattered the bedroom floor next to the bed, pooling on the sheets. Stephen Coleman, the man who had warned his friends this might happen, was dead, and Sierra Sutton's night was just beginning. Most people who commit murder in the heat of passion panic afterward. They call the police, flee, or break down. Sierra Sutton did none of those things. Instead, she spent the next 1 to 2 days methodically dismembering Stephen's body in the bathroom and kitchen of that tiny apartment.
So she comes up with this idea to get a machete and cut his into pieces. This happens with a child in another room. And chop off his arms, chop off his legs, chop off his head. And then to wrap these pieces up, put them in your car. She's driving around town with pieces of his body and putting it in different dumpsters.
Using a machete she kept in the apartment, Sierra separated Stephen's arms, legs, head, and torso over the course of roughly 48 hours. According to her plans, Stephen's body was simply too heavy to move in one piece, so she made him lighter. Blood covered the bathroom floor and sink, the kitchen surfaces, evidence of the sheer physical labor involved in what she was doing. And through all of this, her young daughter remained in the apartment, later telling someone she heard noises during this period, though police never formally interviewed the child about what she witnessed or heard. The disposal method Sierra chose was as disturbing as the dismemberment itself. She wrapped each body part in sheets and secured them with duct tape, supplies she purchased the day after the murder using Stephen's own credit card at a local Walmart.
She was caught on the surveillance video at a store, apparently using his credit card. It also appears she was buying material to help conceal the body. She was purchasing duct tape and a foam mattress.
Surveillance cameras captured a woman matching Sierra's description buying duct tape and a memory foam bed topper on August 17th, materials that would help conceal the horror of what she had done. Then, she began her disposal route. Sierra distributed Stephen's remains across multiple dumpsters at the Briarwood Village apartment complex and other locations around Baytown. She loaded the wrapped packages into her Jeep, where investigators would later find blood traces, and made trips to various disposal sites. The dumpsters were on regular collection schedules, and their contents were routinely transported to a Chambers County landfill. Sierra was counting on Stephen's body parts being buried under tons of garbage, lost forever in the chaos of a city's waste, and she nearly succeeded. Remember Stephen Coleman's warnings to his friends? Remember how he told them to investigate Sierra if anything happened to him? Well, those warnings were about to become crucial, but not before Sierra put on one of the most disturbing performances of grief you'll ever hear about.
About a week before Harvey made landfall on August 18th, Sierra Sutton reported her boyfriend, Stephen Coleman, missing, claiming that he left 2 days prior and hadn't returned. Stephen was an aspiring rapper who already had a big following on YouTube. Then on August 22nd, an equipment operator working at a landfill discovered a torso in the trash. What investigators would find out was that Sierra and Stephen got into an argument the night of August 16, and after he went to bed, she shot him, dismembered him with a machete, and dumped his remains in different garbage receptacles around the city.
On August 18th, 2 days after she murdered and dismembered Stephen, Sierra Sutton walked into the Baytown Police Department and filed a missing persons report. She told officers that Stephen had left the apartment around 10:30 p.m. on August 16th to go find his daughter and hadn't returned. She claimed he wasn't answering his phone or responding to messages. She expressed concern, worry, all the emotions you'd expect from someone whose partner had vanished. His vehicles were still at the apartment, she noted, which made his disappearance even more mysterious. The police took her report seriously and began investigating Stephen's disappearance. And then, Sierra did something that Stephen's family would later describe as the ultimate betrayal. Sierra joined Stephen's mother Corla and brother Chris in searching for him. She rode in the car with them as they distributed missing person flyers around Baytown. She visited police stations with them, asking about updates, expressing hope that Stephen would be found safe. Sierra looked them in the eyes, knowing exactly where their son was, scattered in pieces across a landfill, decomposing among garbage bags and household waste. Corla Coleman would later describe the psychological torture of those days, saying, "The whole time, the whole killer is riding in the car with me. She's in the car with me." But Sierra had made mistakes, and those mistakes were about to unravel her carefully constructed lie, because while she was playing the concerned girlfriend, she was also confessing to friends. The morning after the murder, Sierra called her best friend and admitted everything: the argument, the shooting, the dismemberment, the disposal. She explained matter-of-factly that she had to cut Stephen up because moving his whole body was impossible. On August 22nd, 6 days after Stephen Coleman's murder, an equipment operator at the Chambers County landfill was using a tractor to push garbage when he made a discovery that would turn his stomach. A human torso, severed from mid-thigh to belly button, lay among the refuse.
Worker was using a tractor to push garbage and discovered this torso. He immediately informs his supervisor, and they call the police.
The worker immediately called authorities, and what had been a missing persons case suddenly became a homicide investigation. The timing was particularly chaotic because Hurricane Harvey was rapidly approaching the Texas coast, with landfall expected on August 25th. Preparations for the storm were already underway, and the landfill discovery would complicate everything. DNA testing was initiated on the torso, but investigators already suspected they knew whose body they had found.
It all just kind of points to that direction. So while we can't say for certain that it is Mr. Coleman, that is certainly our suspicion.
The timeline matched Stephen Coleman's disappearance perfectly. Police obtained a search warrant for the Briarwood Village apartment on August 24th, and what they discovered confirmed their worst fears. Blood traces covered multiple areas: the bedroom floor next to where the bed had been, the bathroom floor and sink, kitchen surfaces, and even inside Sierra's Jeep. The apartment was a crime scene, and forensic evidence suggested someone had attempted to clean up but couldn't erase everything.
Discovered some areas in the bedroom that showed some significant that really led us to believe something tragic had happened.
The investigation was moving quickly now, and police wanted to interview Sierra Sutton again. But when they tried to schedule a follow-up interview, she fell off the grid.
We had scheduled Sierra to come in for an interview to kind of follow up on her original report, and she failed to show up,
disappearing just as Hurricane Harvey began its devastating assault on the Texas coast. The storm would kill over 70 people and cause more than $100 billion in damage. These conditions set the investigation back by weeks. Baytown Police Lieutenant Steve Doris would later explain that the hurricane's timing delayed landfill excavations and DNA processing, hindering their ability to quickly search for additional remains. Thousands of people evacuated, and in that chaos, Sierra Sutton fled to Louisiana. But she couldn't stop talking. In Louisiana, Sierra stayed with family and confessed to her brother's girlfriend about what she had done to Stephen. Sierra showed no remorse, according to those who heard her confession. She wasn't traumatized, guilt-ridden, or even defensive. Sierra was matter-of-fact, as if she had completed a difficult household task rather than murdered and mutilated the man she lived with. On September 14, 2017, U.S. Marshals and Jefferson Parish Sheriff's deputies arrested Sierra Sutton in Metairie, Louisiana. She was charged with first-degree murder and held without bond.
To follow a developing story from Baytown, a woman is under arrest accused of killing her boyfriend and dismembering his body with a machete. He was last seen at his apartment on James Bowie Drive back in August. Channel 2's Bill Spencer joins us live from Baytown tonight with this story. Bill?
Jonathan, we're joining you live from right in front of the Briarwood Village Apartments, where Sierra Alexis Sutton is accused of shooting her boyfriend to death in the middle of the night while he was sleeping, but that is not all of it. According to court documents obtained by Channel 2 Investigates, she then hacked his body to pieces using a machete and then distributed those pieces to dumpsters inside that complex. What Baytown police say happened at the top of these stairs in apartment 302 is enough to chill your soul.
Girlfriend's wife killed him, shot him in his head, and then cut his pieces of his body.
Man, it's sad though, man. How can you just chop somebody up like that?
Now, 30-year-old Sierra Alexis Sutton stands charged with murder, accused of shooting her live-in boyfriend, Stephen Coleman, in the head while he was sleeping, and then his body into pieces with a machete and dumping parts of his body into the dumpsters at her apartment complex. Neighbors say the couple had been seen fighting several times before.
They were like in the middle of the parking lot, kind of, and he had her pinned down.
Pinned down on the ground. What was he doing?
He had a belt around her neck.
But investigators say on August 16th, Stephen Coleman suddenly disappeared. Now, Baytown police have discovered the torso of a man found at a Chambers County landfill. They've discovered traces of blood on the bedroom floor, and they've interviewed several witnesses who say Sierra Sutton admitted to them. She killed her boyfriend after an argument and then cut up his body because she said she could never carry it in one piece because it was just too heavy to lift.
During interviews with investigators, Sierra displayed what Lieutenant Doris would describe as an uncaring demeanor with no remorse.
What was her demeanor like? Uncaring, no remorse. That's the best way I can describe it.
He noted this was a first for his team, a case so shocking in its brutality and the perpetrator's callousness that even experienced detectives struggled to process it.
Lieutenant, all of your years doing this, have you had a case, especially here in Baytown, where you've had someone kill their loved one and chop them up and put them in the dumpster?
No, this is a first for me. It's a first for every one of my detectives, to be honest with you. An event like this, fortunately, we haven't had anything like this happen in my 18-plus years that I've been with the Baytown Police Department.
Sierra waived extradition rights and was transferred to Harris County Jail in Texas. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Prosecutors had a strong case, but Stephen Coleman's family wanted answers about more than just who killed their son. They wanted to know how this could happen, why warning signs were ignored, and whether Sierra had help. Stephen's mother, Corla, raised troubling questions that police seemingly never pursued. She pointed out that the apartment had an open floor plan with no doors separating the bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen, yet no neighbors reported hearing a gunshot. How could someone fire a gun in that space without anyone hearing it? Corla expressed skepticism, stating, "I don't really know how she did it, but I don't believe it was a gun because nobody heard any gunshots." She speculated that accomplices might have attacked Stephen to muffle sounds, though no evidence supported this theory, and police never investigated the possibility.
Now, days after Stephen Coleman disappeared, neighbors tell me they saw Sierra Sutton in the middle of the night cleaning out his apartment, taking out all of the furniture with a couple of other men. She even tried to sell some of that furniture to some of her neighbors. Tonight, she sits behind bars, charged with murder.
One neighbor, Donald Wooten, recalled asking Sierra about Stephen's whereabouts. Wooten noted she carried on like she didn't know anything about it, but he found her reaction suspicious even then.
I asked her about him, and she seemed kind of shocked. She goes, "Why are you asking me that?" I said, "Well, I heard that he was missing for a while." And she kind of carried on like she didn't know anything about it.
The family also questioned why Sierra was never charged with tampering with a corpse or child endangerment, despite the overwhelming evidence of dismemberment and her daughter's presence during the crime. Under Texas law, tampering with a corpse can be charged as a second-degree felony, carrying 2 to 20 years if prosecutors prove intent to impair evidence. Child endangerment, given Trinity's proximity to the violence, could have warranted additional charges, yet prosecutors focused exclusively on the murder charge, perhaps as a strategic decision to streamline the case and guarantee a conviction on the most serious offense. In February 2019, Sierra Alexis Sutton was convicted of murder in Harris County's 180th District Court. Judge Deshaun Jones sentenced her to 45 years in prison. The 45-year sentence falls within the 5 to 99-year range for first-degree felony murder in Texas, suggesting prosecutors may have offered a deal in exchange for Sierra's guilty plea. Under Texas law, she must serve at least half the sentence before becoming eligible for parole, meaning she could theoretically be released around 2040 after serving approximately 22 and a half years, accounting for time already served since her 2017 arrest. However, her projected release date without parole is September 14, 2062. She is currently incarcerated at the Christina Melton Crane Unit in Gatesville, Texas, a medium-security women's facility. But understanding what happened to Stephen Coleman requires understanding that his case wasn't an isolated incident. Domestic homicides involving dismemberment, while rare, followed disturbing patterns that investigators have documented across multiple cases. And one case in particular bears such striking similarities to Stephen's murder that it provides crucial context for understanding how relationships can escalate to such horrific violence. In February 2022, almost 5 years after Stephen Coleman's murder, another case shocked investigators in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Taylor Shabiznes, a 25-year-old woman, strangled her 24-year-old boyfriend, Shad Thyrion, during a drug-fueled sexual encounter, then spent hours dismembering his body in his mother's basement.
I went to buy a bag on the low, so I went to my ex who was a Satan disciple, and family, we all Latin kings. So we beefing, we don't with SDs. I gave him $100 for the bag, and the bag was $50. He pocketed the cash. Me and him and another homie all soaked up, and then my homie left, and I went to drop off my ex, and he wanted before I left. So I went into the basement, and he went and pulled out 2 chains. I asked him, where my money at, fool? And he said, I ain't got it. So I took a chain, I put it around his neck, and I asked him again, where my at? He didn't respond. His face turned purple. There was coming out of his mouth. So I laid down on the bed and to listen to his heartbeat. And I said, damn, this motherfucker's still beating. I went upstairs to grab a kitchen knife. I went back downstairs, took off his pants. I sucked his cut his head off at the same time because the only SD that I would ever be doing would be sucking. Then I chopped his off and concealed the crime. I used a nearby shower drain to pour out the blood and put in bags and boxes around the basement to store the body parts in, and plastic bags for the organs. I was covering up his body, and while the people were entering the basement, I would continue to cut him up, and then and I would cover him up, and then when they would leave, I would cut him back up, and then I headed out to the truck, and I started loading up the body parts in there, and then I went back to the apartment I was staying at. After chopping it up with my roommate, I went to go get rid of the body, and then there was cops surrounding the place with their guns out telling us to get down, get on the floor, and that's why I'm in custody today.
Like Sierra Sutton, she separated the body parts and scattered them in different locations. Like Sierra, she showed no remorse when confronted by police and later admitted she enjoyed what she had done.
Use manual strangulation during sex at all? To shed like that?
A manual strangulation, yes.
He likes strangulation?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Where'd you do the body?
The body's there. Yeah.
So we're gonna take the head somewhere?
I like that.
What makes these cases disturbing is the post-mortem behavior. Shabiznes engaged in sexual acts with Thyrian's corpse for 2 to 3 hours, telling police she derived gratification from it. While Sierra Sutton's case didn't involve reported sexual elements, the extended time she spent dismembering Stephen's body over 48 hours suggests a similar lack of normal human revulsion to what she was doing. Both women treated their victims' bodies as objects to be processed rather than human beings they once cared about. The investigation in Shabiznes's case unfolded quickly because Therian's mother discovered his severed head in a bucket in her basement, leading to immediate police involvement. Spiven's case took longer to develop because Sierra successfully delayed discovery through her missing persons report and disposal method. But in both cases, the perpetrators confessed readily to associates. Shabiznes told investigators she went crazy but enjoyed it, while Sierra called her best friend the morning after to explain what she'd done. Neither woman demonstrated the guilt or fear you'd expect from someone who committed such acts. Shabiznes was convicted on all charges in July 2023 after a trial where her defense argued she was legally insane due to methamphetamine psychosis. The jury rejected this defense, finding her guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole in September 2023.
A woman sentenced today to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 25-year-old Taylor Schwabbusiness was convicted of charges for the murder and dismemberment and sexual assault of Shad Thyrian in Green Bay back in 2022. Months later, you'll remember this video. Schwabbusiness went viral after courtroom video captured her attacking her own attorney during a hearing. The case has taken so many twists and turns over 19 months. On Monday, Schwabbusiness's current attorney, Christopher Freilich, withdrew a request to postpone.
The harsher sentence compared to Sierra's 45 years likely reflects Wisconsin's different sentencing guidelines and the sexual assault component, but both cases resulted in effectively removing these women from society for the foreseeable future. For Stephen Coleman's family, understanding that their son's case fits a broader pattern of intimate partner homicides involving dismemberment provides cold comfort at best. Corla Coleman still visits Stephen's grave regularly, brings flowers, and speaks to her son. But she wasn't able to bury him whole. Many of his remains were never recovered from that Chambers County landfill. The family buried what they could find, partial remains that represent only a fraction of their son's body.
5 years in August. I don't miss a day, a month, go and bring flowers. I had to bury what they found.
The question that haunts both families is whether these murders could have been prevented. If Stephen's friends had been more insistent that he leave Sierra, would he still be alive? If someone had checked on Stephen when he stopped responding to calls instead of waiting for Sierra's missing persons report, could police have caught her before she disposed of all the remains? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.